I don't have a type. I think my dating pool is the UN.
That's not love bombing. That's just crazy.
Again, basic human decency.
Holy shit, I didn't even know it was vanilla.
Transactionality, and in a world where we really want connection. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Create What Matters. Today's episode is brought to you by the one and only Batovi vodka, made here in Barcelona with a special distillment process and made to share for family connections, love connections, or romantic connections, which is exactly the topic that we will be discovering and exploring today. How is our daily life in Barcelona from diverse perspectives? So let's kick it off.
Hi, everyone. I am your co-host, Leti.
And hi, I'm Ale, your co-host, and glad to be here chatting with you on this topic today.
So today we're going to be talking about how the dating scene has changed, especially from a technological, social, and even sometimes political perspective, maybe. So we have here some very special guests. But before we get into it, and I know that this is a topic that can bring a lot of anxiety to a lot of people, but is also a necessary one. Maybe we can tell a little bit about ourselves and how our dating life has been. Ale, how has your dating life been in the last years?
Oh my. If I had to put this into one world, I would say a roller coaster. First of all, I'm 39. I'm an Ecuadorian immigrant here in Barcelona, and I'm a confirmed monogamist. I've tried and tested this concept, and it's been a roller coaster. I've been dating for 10 years, different cultures, different ages, different colors, different flavors. And it's been a roller coaster and a growth experience at the same time.
We have very different and very mirroring, actually, like the opposite experiences. I have been in a monogamous relationship for the last almost 12 years. I was married at some point and married for a long time. I'm 36. I'm also an immigrant, a Brazilian immigrant here in Barcelona. But in the last months, 6 months, let's say, I have been exploring my own dating scene. And so just to understand how old I was when I last dated, Tinder was not even a thing back then. So I had to get onto the new apps, to the new technology when I got out of it, but also explored a very different scene, which we're going to talk about in another episode that's coming up, which is the kinky scene. So I have been exploring my sexuality. I'm bisexual, actually. But we have here some other people and other perspectives that can bring that to us. So if we could have yourselves introduce yourselves. Oona, who are you and why are you here today?
Hello, my name is Oona. I am originally from Finland, so the cold north. And I've been living in Barcelona only for exactly 4 months now.
Ooh.
Yes. And before that, I've lived a little bit around the world. So very multicultural, not only living, but dating-wise as well.
Yeah.
And I have been single for a couple of years now, but before that, I used to have long relationships. So I have been enjoying my single life the past years.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin?
I love when guests introduce other guests. So the new concept.
It feels special. So I am a currently single tech executive from the US. I've been living in 5 countries and landed in Spain 3 years ago. I was previously married in Amsterdam, had like the romantic love story of marrying someone on holiday in Australia, going on dates in different time zones and flying for loved ones. And then it's been a nice reset the last 3 years of like remembering what it's like to be single, being in a warmer country, warmer people, a little more diversity, and like you said, lots of flavors.
Lots of flavors. We were just talking about like if vanilla is nice, imagine all of the other flavors that we have, right?
So I would like to know your perspectives on what is dating like for you today. But how would you say also it varies across identities? We live in a city that is so international. People come from all over the world. And we also get to experience dating through their lens. So what would you say? How is dating like for you today and your friends and here in Barcelona, in such an international city?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I myself come from 4 nationalities. Both my parents are mixed. And then I've lived in 6 countries and traveled to 70. Can't say I've dated in all of them, but a lot of them have been quite international places. And Barcelona really feels like a commingling of all of that. Like, I'm gay, I'm like African and American and Asian. I have this like weird lens on like expectations. You know, there's like traditional expectations, but traditional to which of these cultures? Then you adapt a bit to the country and the culture you're in. The gays heavily use dating apps. I would say more than the straight world. There's one that has something like 80% market share. It's called Grindr.
Yeah.
You know, they have their own cruises around the world. Like, there's a whole thing. And so for me, it feels like dating has always been tech first for the gays.
Tech first.
Yeah, for safety. It's gotten a lot crazier because, let's say, tech being there for so long has meant that it's developed its own kind of legs. So before Tinder, before all of these things, we had Grindr. We had detailed filters about like height and the size of things and the position of things. And so it's really changed, I think, the way people date even offline, because you kind of develop these skills before you date in person, which is like the chagrin, the kind of like the thing I hate the most about gay dating is that like it works better online. We don't have the normal place of going to a bar and meeting a person. I don't really look at a guy in public and say, I'm going to go talk to them because I don't know if they're even gay. So like we default to using Grindr as a filter for who is the dating pool. Then there is all the infighting that everyone has in every side of, you know, all the gender orientations around what do you like, you dislike, your preferences.
Yeah.
So.
And there's also another layer, I think, in the gay community in general, which is if you're a top or a bottom, if you like both, if you like one, if you like one of the other things, which is a different kind of layer that sometimes we don't even notice or don't even know. And I think that there's also which I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but we have so many things related to, when I'm talking about more heteronormative settings, right? It's usually more like, oh, we go on a date and then maybe we have rules around doing it or not doing it on the first date. And then for the gay community, it's so sexual right away usually, and it can go there so fast, even before you discuss anything. Your name. Yes.
It can get sex first.
Yes, it's definitely sex first. So you can comment on that. Like, I think that's a huge difference. Like, the gay world is just like completely different in that way.
Yes. So there's a phrase for this kind of stereotypes have reality, right? But the stereotype is called the gay scene. It's like the gay bars that are very like, let's go home tonight. It's the gay dating apps that are very like sex details as filters versus personality details. We don't have filters for like religion or politics. No, we have filters for like height and like where your dick goes and what hole. You know, that is where the filters are. Yeah. And that is also how the conversations go. Yeah. I think a majority of a lot of gay men who are cis date after they've had sex. The sex was good, and then I enjoyed a conversation. Now let's go on a real date. And I'm raised by 2 very, very traditional religious families, and I like to go on multiple dates, and then if you're lucky, you get a kiss on the second or third one, and then I have butterflies and we text all week, and then maybe we have sex that weekend. And yeah, I just think that like I have to do a lot of convincing people to like get a drink or have a meal before I go on a date. And sometimes I give in if they're just like all the things I want. But quite often I think people do matchmaking in the opposite order, I would say, of the heteronormative community.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oona?
I think it's very much like an interesting perspective on the apps, and then like differences between, because I don't use, for example, others that much, or not at all at the moment, and I like to go just to talk to people face to face. But I think currently, like the dating world today, I was told when I moved to Barcelona 4 months ago, when I was like, yeah, I think this is a nice city for dating. No, you're wrong. And I was like, what? Why? No one wants anything serious. Everyone wants to just have fun and not commit. That's why they move here.
The beach.
Yeah, so that was like what I first heard from girls that I met in the beginning when I moved to Barcelona. They were like, yep, guys just ghost you, especially the Catalans. And then we have discussed a lot about this, and I think it's interesting because then I experienced myself some ghosting, and I was prepared because my friends had already said about this. But luckily I lived in Sweden before, because it's very much also kind of Stockholm, same kind of vibe within the dating. But I think in Barcelona people are generally very open-minded, and dating is very, it feels very natural though. It depends where you go as well and who you meet. And now I have only the 4 months experience, but that's by so far it's fun in here, and very people ask directly.
Yeah.
In my experience.
Okay.
Nice.
Do you think that you stopped using apps? And I know that one of the reasons we invited you is because you're a very upfront person. If you like someone, you're going to go up to them and you're going to talk to them. You have absolutely no shame. You are one of the biggest connectors I've ever met in my life. You just go into a party, and true story, we were New Year's Eve. At some point, she was inside someone else's family party. We don't know how that happened, but there's a video of her in the middle of a huge community party, and she's just like in the middle of that celebrating. So that's Oona, where you have to understand her. She has no shame whatsoever. It's just, I love it.
Hello.
Do you think that apps in general have gamified a little bit, and also maybe made it into a something that's kind of like social media, that technology has made it so easy for us to discard people and just like say, no, I don't want you. Yes, I want you, in that way.
To like consume
people.
I think, yes, definitely. And I think it creates a lot of expectations, maybe higher or lower. You look at some person on the app, you're like, wow, this is 100% my type. And then you go on the dates and you realize that that's not what I was looking for, even though it would look the same, but it creates expectations. And for me, the reason why I don't use is simply because I like connections face to face, and I don't like consumers. So maybe that's somehow correlated, but I think for me it's we spent already quite a lot of time on the screen, and I think meeting people in my life, I want to have it like face to face and go to people, because I have also the no shame personality that I go to people, but I also understand that and using apps is an easy way for some people, and a lot of people it's a relief to make connections, because it's scary to go in front of people and just go say like, hey,
You're hot.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
What do you
It
think?
takes a lot of bravery for sure, and not a common thing. So that's amazing that you're upfront and you go and you're direct and you see it and you go. Good. Evan?
So this is where people who know me find it ironic. I'm on stages a lot. I'm on TV a lot. I'm in a really big team. I really never go up to anyone in person unless I'm drunk. So very different funk here. And I think the apps are a great way for me to, one, have the time. I have a very spontaneous schedule. Right now I live between 2 cities. So I schedule dates before I'm even in the country where that date's going to happen, usually 3 or 4 days in advance. I think living in Amsterdam and the Netherlands, where people use calendars and you hang out with your friends and you schedule it 3, 4, 5 months in advance, has rubbed off on me maybe a bit strong.
Too much.
Yeah, so I'm like, but October 3rd, are you available at 4 p.m.? They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, there's a cute party happening. They're like, why would you know that? Is it in your... I'm like, yeah, it's in my diary. I don't know, I'll tell you. So that's happened a lot. And I think now that I have the apps, I can also find the thing that I think that I want very, very easily. So I think it does lead to this kind of heavy culture of discarding people and, hey, you're not my type. I'm also a very direct person. I'm from the East Coast of the US, from where I was born. The Dutch are also very direct people. I was there for many years. I come from a both military family, also very direct people. And then I spent all my time doing like psychology work, and I design software. So I can see the biases the software creates, and yet I still fall into them.
100%.
You know, so I still use the filters. I still question why someone says I'm their type. What does that mean to you? What is your type? And I always say, famously, I don't have a type. I think my dating pool is the UN. So when people discard people, I'm always just like, you're missing out on all these gems. No, I have no idea.
That's so nice.
Yeah, so I'm over here in the water, sifting dirt, finding gems.
That's a really beautiful way of expressing dream.
And do you think like the apps in general, when you use them, do you think that when you meet someone on the app, you have expectations, or can it be that like sometimes it can filter those that you know already from the person who you meet face to face, that you kind of don't lose time, if that makes sense?
I hear you. There's a duality in the way I use the apps. It's funny. I think the gay apps are more sexual, and then the apps that are made for straight people that have a gay side, like Tinder or Bumble, are ironically more serious to the gays. So Tinder is a more serious dating app to the gays because like that's a step above Grindr, whereas it's kind of like the floor for straight people where I think more casual things happen. I have a whole filter on Tinder that's just long-term partners, and the number of people that are on both, but are clearly like, let's say, encouraged by society to say that, hey, I'm here for a relationship, something serious, is much, much higher on gay Tinder, as I call it. And then gay Bumble is even more serious. There's no women to swipe first, but, it's an app that kind of indicates more serious connections, intentional matching, so less consumerism and discarding people, I would say. But I'm the same way in person and online. And I have notoriously said this as a member of the kink community. Some people who are really shy are known to be super, adventurous in bed, and people who are in positions of authority psychologically sometimes want to like let go and be free, and I'm just constantly dominant.
Yeah.
I run a large team. I have lots of projects. Maybe I consider my relationship a project sometimes. We have goals, we have deadlines. Let's do a retro. Sort of feedback for me, feedback for you. Cool, we can work on this. And like, gotta make sure we ship this, because I want to enter a relationship at the end of this project. Bad jokes aside, I do think the apps influence how I do it.
In a nutshell.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think for sure technology has played out a big role now in consumerism, the way we buy things and have this expectation of having something shipped to our homes and in 24 hours. I think that mentality it's very sticky now when it comes to our expectations with people. And I think I love Esther Perel. She's a relationship coach, and she speaks of, she has this podcast and a lot of very interesting content. As she was saying, there's a horrible parallel of dating with job searching, right? You're going through this filtering, interviewing process. And it's awful that, that the way that it's so similar when you're dating someone, if we're assuming that you want a serious relationship, at least, that process is, if it's going to be a quality relationship, that process is usually slow. It's a slow burn. It's imperfect. So it's not this funnel through which people are going through. So I think that transactionality and that consumerism is creating this disconnection in a world where we really want connection. And I'm not saying this has to be monogamous or a relationship, but it's just taking us away from that.
I love this.
Yeah.
One very quick anecdote. I used to have these 3 girlfriends. We have matching tattoos. We've been friends for a very long time. And I would always be outside looking into their dating lives. And I would always remind them whenever they would start doubting themselves, because like one guy made them feel away. And I was like, you are Harvard. You have a bachelor's program, you have master's, you have PhDs. Not every guy is going to be the PhD doctorate, but you're Harvard. You can say no. There's a filtering process. There's an interview, and you are the person who decides whether they get in or not and for how long.
I know that.
And also means you also get to kick them out. So remember, you are Harvard.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think also it's consumerism can be a good thing in if you minimize it somehow. If you from my experience, for me, like if you have too much then it gets overwhelming.
Yeah.
And same with everything, not only about
Yeah.
like consuming it in dating life, but in general, like if you have too much of something, it can get very like you don't appreciate anymore.
Yeah.
Some parts maybe. Yeah.
What are some key expectations that you have when you go on a date? Let's say that you filter through all of the apps, you have done all of the work, and you are going on a date. What do you expect from a first date?
I need great communication. I need to laugh.
Mm.
And I'm, again, more of a traditional person, but the thing that I like about traditional relationships that I think makes me this way is that it's a partnership. I think I love the word partner really much because I think the partnership defines it more than relationship. I have relations with many things, right? I only have very few partnerships. It's like you and I are equals, building something together. We are both responsible. We're both liable. We're both held accountable. And I also want that to be reflected on the first date. Like if I'm doing all the work and I'm also paying and I'm also making all the decisions and I'm also deciding the food and the time and I want to feel like this date is a reflection of what both of us like.
Yeah.
It's what is the beginning of us getting to know each other.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to just be one dimensional, just your actions on the date. I also want it to be before and after and, it'd be a reflection of both of us.
I think I like to say there's intent in it. There's like the desire to invest time and effort into thinking about how that's going to go. And I totally agree with you. If I am the one like trying to decide things and if it's last minute and if it's like, then for me, it makes no sense. I usually say that if you want it, you're going to make time and you're going to make it happen. I think that's like for me, base at least. If you don't make the time, if you don't put in the effort, what the hell am I doing here? Or at least say or tell me like, oh, I can't do this. But then doing dinner or doing whatever it is, you're going to bring that a little bit to the table as well. Then for me, it also like it's a sample of what that can be in the future.
Exactly.
And I don't want to put the heavy lifting. Like I have to share this weight. This is not a solo deadlifting. I can do that for myself, but if we're sharing this bar, we're sharing it together. Sorry for being an analogy of gym, but it makes sense to me right now.
You balance on both
But
sides.
it's true, like I think there's a quote, is it Maya Angelou, who says, when somebody introduces themselves to you, believe them the first time.
Yeah.
These tasters or even, and I think also how you do small things is how we do big things. So even if like it's an invitation, any like stupid thing even says a lot about a person. I think we communicate a lot more than we think we communicate. So I think it's really easy to spot these things and discard and be harbored, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think for the first date, I usually don't have any expectations.
Details.
because sometimes like I go in a mindset that I want to think that this could be the worst date of my life or this could be the best date of my life. I don't know. And then it can be a positive surprise. And I don't want it to be like that I end up being like, oh, this was really bad.
Okay.
So I put, not to say that I put low expectations, but I like to say that for the first time you meet someone, it's hard to tell because you don't know what is going on.
Yeah.
And they might be nervous. There might be so many factors that might affect the initial connection. Even though I believe that first connection is good when you get like the feeling, but sometimes a lot of things can affect how the person's feeling, the mood, what they have been doing that day. I don't know. This is maybe too overanalyzing, but I like to go there with, I'm just going to go. And it could end up us being friends or something else.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I love that topic, but yeah.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to shift gears into dating terminology and trends.
Yes.
So, I'm going to read a few terminology. Ghosting, breadcrumbing, benching, love bombing. So dating apps and the new dynamics have just given space to all of these new concepts and words that describe and put meaning, I suppose, to these new relationship dynamics. So what do you think in this sense is the worst thing someone can do while dating? And are there any good things you also see to maybe counterbalance the bad? They can do a lot of bad. what are some of those worst things you've seen and some great things that you've seen based on your experience?
I would say one of the worst things have been love bombing. Like from the beginning, I was dating this guy, a Latino man. And
Let's not generalize.
no, but it was
They're sweet on the ear.
Personal experience.
yes, because in general, Finnish people might be a little bit slower to warm up, let's say. And yes, so and then he was already on the second date, and he was telling me how we were gonna have kids together. And,
Oh, that's not love bombing. That's just crazy.
but it felt like love bombing. He said, "I love you" at the same time. I want to have kids with you. Oh my God, no!
What's your last name?
We're gonna change that.
Yeah. But I would say love bombing, but ghosting. They're all kind of good and bad. But
Yeah.
it's sometimes I think it also depends on the person, because if it would be the right person for you, would you mind the love bombing? Or if it's like the wrong person for you, then you
Christian.
get kind of bad. It feels not good. But if it would have been that I would have been really into this person, and he would have said, yes, let's...
To me, it's an absolutely not on the love. Absolutely not love. I mean, 6 years ago, I would have said, yes, this person loves me because, now it's you're love bombing me. That's a signal of you need to validate yourself. You need to show me. You need to reflect. I need to validate you because you're giving me this love. This is a transaction in a way, and it's really fast. And you're giving me this love, and I'm not. You don't even know me. You haven't. It's like love bombing is really fast, right? So you don't even know me to love me. So you can like me. You can like to fuck me. We can have fun. But then love, at least personally, my concept, I think love is a big word. And then that is like a deal breaker and a very big red flag.
Yeah.
But love bombing can also be like the way that the person is always showing you affection in different ways, and maybe too much and too quickly, and wanting to move things too quickly for you, right? And I think that there are also all of these rules. If after date 3 he doesn't do this, then you should let him go, or her, or they. If after 3 months you don't have a relationship and you don't have a dating, or you're not in a, I don't know, boyfriend and girlfriend status, then maybe you should let them go. All of these norms also sometimes put in the way of what we understand as love bombing, maybe. I've also been interpreted sometimes as love bombing in the way that I'm happy. I've had that. Oh, you're too happy. You want to do fun things together. You want to cook. And I do that with my friends as well. That is what I do in general. I'm not doing this just because I like spending time with you. It doesn't mean that I want to marry you. First of all, I'm probably not going to marry you again. That's the first thing you like to say. That's the first point.
Breaking news.
The second one.
Breaking news.
The second one is I think that sometimes people don't understand when someone is honest and open. And that's different from love bombing.
Yes.
I didn't say I loved you. I didn't say I was in love with you. I didn't say I wanted you to meet my parents. I just said it would be nice if you would get to know more of my culture. Do you want to come over and cook with me? Do you want to do this with me and get to know you which is also something that Esther says a lot, which is we put all of this pressure and expectation on dating. We create this moment, this special moment when people go, and then you have to dress in a certain way. You have to behave in a certain way. You have to be expected in a certain way. But then you take all of that and you go to your normal life. Why not bring that person along in your normal life? And then see how they react. And then, why not just say, we're going with my friends somewhere. Do you want to tag along? And let's see how they react. Because there's this whole thing that you have to, introduce Javi, for example.
For lunch, your boyfriend. So yes, and everybody, or soft lunch, just take it easy and do not mix them too much. And it's I absolutely agree with this. No, bring him to your life, test him out, and let's see how that plays out. How do you feel? Not only him, not only me, but him.
Everyone already knows the size of his dick. You've already told them. It's not like that you are introducing.
I was not told.
You've already told all of your girlfriends everything about the time that you met. Like, there is no soft or hard launch. You know? I don't know. Javi, I don't know the size of your dick, sir. No, it's a joke in the sense of... but it's like people already know everything about, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your friends, I mean,
Yeah.
like your closest friends, right?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Absolutely. No. I absolutely agree. I think there's these rules and formulas, and I think at the same time there are no rules, but we also need to. I think kindness and good communication to me, and these treating people well and treating them as you would like to be treated, and with basic human decency. I think that should never change.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you like or what do you prefer in terms of relationships, but again, basic human decency.
Yeah.
I think it's very cultural context as well.
Yeah,
Like it's different cultures, different countries. Like I said, Finnish people, very shy, warm up pretty slowly. Same with Swedes. I've experienced that when if I would, let's say, which I've been doing, is I'm really open-minded and do like, hey, come with our friends. That's why I said that the people might have gotten scared sometimes, because I have a Latina heart, maybe. You do. There. And it's very cultural, because sometimes I felt like in Australia, for example, people were just directed like, oh, come with my friends. And I've heard that the US, it depends also which state you're at and whereabouts in the US, of course, but it's you take already your date. If in the first date, then you go with your friends. But let's say Finland, it might take a very, very long time. So I guess it depends
From
on the country.
Yeah.
The culture.
This is where the gay perspective gets interesting again. All the gays know each other.
Yeah.
This is like a stereotype, but it also has some truth to it.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, I was recently in Denmark and met a guy, and then we saw his Instagram, and there was like 19 people mutual.
Wow.
And I was like, how?
Is that possible?
You know, and it's like people from 4 different countries, 3 different continents, not even just like one city.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it's a very small world. In addition to that, I mean, to the main point of your question about what I find to be like the worst thing or like super wrong, to me, similar to how you feel, it's inconsistency. It's my number one pet peeve. If everything you did to get the date just suddenly goes away once the date's happened, I'm cutting you off immediately. Like, if I wouldn't go on a first date with you based on your behavior now, and it's been 3, 4, 5, 6 dates, 6 years, I want consistency. So I want to know what it's like day to day. I want to know who your friends are like. I want to know what it's like when you're sleeping. And I think
I really know what it's like when you're sleeping.
Yeah,
That's really you turned to me I was like,
context. Lots of people of color have like wigs and things that actually come off, and so there's a different. See someone in their home setting is very different than like out public.
It's
right?
vulnerable.
It's more vulnerable.
Okay, got it.
A CPAP machine, you snore, you like all the things you have to do for the other part of your day life.
Okay. I am with you there. Thank you.
As a person who snores, people are like, this was really great, but how am I gonna do the rest of my life? You know? I think some people have parents like myself who maybe had slept in different rooms at some point in time, or like in separate beds in the same room.
Yeah.
This is a big factor of the relationship. So I don't want to wait 9 months to discover this thing.
Yes.
Really funny story. 13 years ago, I got made an ordained minister so that I could do gay weddings in the US, gay marriages. And one of the things they recommend you do before a couple gets married is you talk about what life expectations are after the marriage. And the marriages that don't work out are when people have suddenly significantly different expectations after this one random Tuesday or Saturday that you get married on. And those people usually haven't talked about the next day expectations. So they both go in thinking, oh, now that we're married, we're going to do this. Another person is like, now that we're married, it'll be the same as before we were married because we've been together for 14 years. Like, what is happening tomorrow that didn't happen today?
Wow.
And I think it's a really big part of like even early dating. Because you have the part when like you're putting in the effort to like get the prize and to get the commitment, and then people suddenly change post commitment or post sex or post milestones, right? And I think the worst thing for me is when people become almost different people post a milestone, especially if it's like sex or like a certain date that to you means a lot. It might not be sex, it might be meeting the parents, might be whatever, that meeting the friends. It's like, why aren't you the same person that made me want to introduce you to this person or get to this milestone?
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, so we've talked about how data tech has influenced relationships. We have covered all of these concepts in terms of new terminology when it comes to dating. But I think I found for myself there are like new relationship dynamics: polyamory, non-monogamous relationships, swingers, open relationship. What a world! What a changing space! And sometimes I cannot even catch up with the change. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yeah. What is your take on it? And would you be open to different relationship dynamics? I think that the gay world has been like that for a long time now. I think open relationships have been something of the gay world. But also we've seen, for example, we can talk about one of the things that I think is very funny that we were commenting is that people think that they invented the pineapple on Mercadona. If you don't know this, it's a trend in Spain where single people go to Mercadona. And then they put a pineapple inside their cart. And that's actually been a swingers practice. So swingers are couples that exchange. And that has been a practice for many, many years.
Supermarket.
Yes. So you know anywhere. So you know that a couple is a swinger means that they exchange with another couple or they partake in other sexual activities, but usually as a couple. It's through the pineapple, and I think that people on TikTok thought that they invented that, but no, sorry, generation, they didn't. So what is Gen Zs? What is your take on that, and how do you see different dynamics?
Yeah, it has both pros and cons in the gay world. I feel like a lot of relationships in the gay world have become open relationships. I think probably most men have tried having an open relationship in the gay hetero male world. And so I think there's a lot of experience and heavily, let's say, strong opinions about whether you're for it or against it. I'm for it in like circumstances. Like I date people no matter where they are. I don't mind buying flights. I quite like my points. Australia to Amsterdam, for example. And so, that relationship was closed for a very long time, and then COVID happened, and then it became open out of circumstance. And like I felt very comfortable because it felt logical to me. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to ask you to wait 18 months to see me. No one knows the end date of this thing.
Yeah.
Let's just go. And they closed the border, right? So it's very uncertain. In other scenarios, like difficult time zones or like needs that can't be met, but the love is already there. Like I love the care, the trust, the commitment is there, but maybe something else isn't being served or met. I think I can logically understand that.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's times where it's very personal, right? It's like, hey, I'm not a person who can commit or get everything you need from one person. And there's lots of truth behind that. I'm just a person who would rather make the sacrifice and compromise and like weave a pattern together around the things that we need, which are always going to change, rather than go to someone else for it. So I'm a monogamist.
You're a rare find. The gay world, if it's
A monogamist who like pays the bill and also a little rare in the gay world. I don't think it's super rare. There's like the scene, and the scene is what is on TV, right? The scene is what is
and also single, by the way.
But all of my exes would talk to me, and some of them even write love letters.
What would you have in your pocket, Kevin? Tell us.
Today, I got a love letter from a man who I previously dated, who was dating a new person and still felt the need to tell me how much I'm into him. And I think that most of my exes would talk about how it was great because I think I explain myself, my expectations, and also when I'm done, I also explain not what they did wrong or what's wrong with them, but like, hey, I have this need. I don't believe it's going to work. Do you think it's going to work? Do you think we can go somewhere from here? And if not, I think it's better for both of us to be happy by finding it somewhere else. So, single for now, but watch out, world.
Interesting. You also received a painting with that.
Yes, it came with a painting that was an interpretation of me. And as an animal, I am apparently an elephant because I will never forget what you said or did.
Wow. Sense.
And the concept was I'm abstract, I am soft in some places with some harsh edges. And if you keep looking, you will keep seeing more and more things. You really don't know what you're looking at, do you? So
That's
are we all complex little abstract edibles?
For sure.
edibles.
Need to go in your mouth, don't we?
Oh my God, Kevin. Yes, for sure. Okay, good. Yeah.
Right. Changing into this influence conversation in terms of relationship. Okay, there's a change in the scene, but what about our beliefs that we're dragging maybe from our families or cultures or countries? How do they play out when we're in front of somebody dating them for the first time? How does our beliefs affect or influence our choice for relationships or standards? You were saying, Oona, that a lot of love bombing, for example, it might be a different concept or a different interpretation in Finland or in the Nordics or in different culture with a Latino. How do our beliefs and our even like our parental beliefs shape us, shape the way you pick, the way you date today?
I think like we are shaped a lot from our environment, but if you change your environment also a lot, like I have done, it really depends if you stay put on, for example, in one place, or if you, for example, travel a little bit more, or nowadays with technology and globalization, we have the access to a lot of information, so we can be more aware and how it functions. But I think how we were growing up and what we see in the youth, as well as how our friends act our dates, it affects how we do at some certain level as well.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you have your own beliefs and then you act on them, but then again, it really depends on the context. So I would say like if you are used to in your family, for example, love bombing and you're from Finland, I'm not so used to in my family love bombing, but if I would have, then I would experience it differently of the long love bombing, maybe. So it really depends how you were growing up and who you surround yourself with. But you can, I don't know, I think it depends. If you really like that person, then you're kind of ready to take, not whatever, but some sort of like filter, like they say, like minimized love bombing I can handle if I like you.
Yeah.
Do you agree or what do you think?
Yeah, I think I can't turn off my background, right? So like as a UXer, behavioral psychology is like, is it nature or nurture? Like, is it organically within you? It would always be there no matter what the environment was, or has the environment influenced you? And I think both exist, especially for love. Love, like this heart, is ever changing, and as you move, so can your. So like my parents are opposites, like polar opposites, like my mom had never left to West Africa, and then she moved to the US and met my dad almost immediately and fell in love and had me. And then my dad was Navy and military and had seen the entire world, and then kind of came home and met a person that was probably more likely to have met during deployment than like on his block in his house, near his house, and met my mom. And then my stepmother of 30 years is Filipino. And so each of these cultures dates and so differently. I mean, there's jokes about dowry and like bride's price in Africa, and it's a real thing still. In the US, it's considered like super Western culture where like sex is free and you can do whatever you want compared to this. And then you have the true East and like really Southeast Asia and the islands where, they accept trans people and they accept gay people, and there's a gay prince in India. And so they've already broken what traditional means in many, many ways. But there's this big dichotomy, this big range. So for me, I've never had like one view of it. My mom got divorced, never remarried. My dad got divorced and married almost immediately. So I've had every version kind of played out. And I still choose to be very traditional, which is very, I don't know. I guess I got to choose what fits me. So I definitely agree that the environment influences you, but maybe you see the environment and you reject it.
Yeah.
You know in your heart what's right for you.
Yeah.
I think that for me, the pressure of getting divorced, for example, was people say that you fail your marriage, but I don't believe that. I think we lived the cycle that we had to live. We ended it and we followed different paths. But for me, definitely coming from a background where my mother was the first one in her family to divorce was way less intense than it probably was for her. So for me, having that as a perspective and knowing that, like, when I told her, I was like, I have something to tell you. And then she was like, you're pregnant. I was like, nope. Next, it's just like, you're leaving Barcelona. Nope. And then she was like, you're getting a divorce. So these are the 3 days that you could like guess. And I was like waiting for her to guess it because she kind of already knew there was something big happening. Because she already did it before me. So she kind of broke that barrier in the family. So it means a lot in the sense of like, it gives me the freedom to know that it's okay if I do it too. Because I know that there are a lot of families that is like a huge taboo and people still don't talk about it. But more than half of marriages fail, like even more, I think, that fail in that sense or get divorced because we live longer.
Yeah.
We change so much more now and we have options and honestly, like we can live so many lives in the lives that we have lived, right? We can go through many different phases. So I think that we learn and that's beautiful in my opinion. I think that that's a great way to maybe move forward, no?
Yeah, and I think one more thing, if I may add here with parents and family, I think we see love, the shape, the format of love should take when we are from 0 to 3 years old. That's what psychology says. So whatever you learn when you were a child, that's what you're going to choose when you are in your adult life. That's like the footprint. And that is so interesting to dissect and reflect on, or even ask, to go back on and ask your family if you have that chance to understand that those choices were something that you were taught, and to question yourself, is there an opportunity to break free from those assumptions? Are those contributing to your life or hindering your experiences? I think family, at least I can speak from my experience, has played a big role in influencing my dating choices and my dating life. And there's good and positive and negatives. And I think this awareness has been really interesting in therapy when it comes to facing my relationships through that lens as well, that heritage from my family, and relearning or unlearning things as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So we've covered like dating expectations, we've covered family, we've covered dating apps and everything like that. So what is it like when you actually get down to business with someone, right? How important is first sex? You dated someone, doesn't matter if it's first sex, blah, 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 you had it. How important and determined is it for you if that sex was good or bad?
Who wants to go?
I'm happy to go first.
You go first.
So this is where. Okay, so to me, it's extremely important. The order doesn't matter, but as a factor of having a relationship that I think will last, it is probably close to 50%.
Okay.
As in, it can make or break the entire relationship.
Yeah.
I have very specific kinks and fetishes. There are apps dedicated explicitly to this. I have almost only started to date there. And then actually I was like, no, again, part of my principle of being the same person everywhere, all apps, in person, online, I just kind of put it into like every profile. So it's like on Tinder, I tell a bit more about my hobbies and my interests in life. And then there's like kinky. Yeah. And then it's like you can ask. And sometimes if I feel a bit more direct, I even put, examples.
Yeah.
Then there's dedicated apps just for the kinks. Yeah. And then I say, looking for someone to build a life with, or interested in dating or open to more. Yeah. And so even in the community that's like focused on sex, there's people like me who want that sex with their partner for the rest of their life. Yeah. To me, that is the difference between a kink and a fetish, right? Like it is almost a requirement for my sex life to be happy.
Interesting.
And so for me, it's like very, very important.
So you are very upfront about your kinks and you're very, very upfront about all of the things that you like. Yeah. I like that very much too. I think that is kind of my approach. I don't do that as upfront. I don't put it in all apps, I think, because men are super
I did.
Weird.
Yes.
Fair enough. Yes. So I think that it's more of like I usually try to break it into some ways in dates or in conversations. And then depending on how people respond to it, I either continue or I don't.
Yep.
But I would definitely agree that sex is 50% for me. Like I either move forward or I don't at all. I sometimes, if I like the person really, 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 really a lot, I try to give them a second chance, because when I talk about these things, people can get really they are shy about it, or they can get like how do you call it?
Triggered or whatever.
No, not triggered, but sometimes they can be a little bit like intimidated by the fact that I had kinky experiences before.
Yes.
And then I like to be a sub, and then I like men to be dominant, but they need to know what they're talking about and not just like rough sex. And then they get all these new terms that they're like, holy shit, I didn't even know it was vanilla. And then I have to like, here's a dictionary. Please read about it more on this wiki page here so you can understand what my kinks are.
Here's a test.
Yeah. So I understand.
Yes.
So I definitely understand if the first time is not a good one, because sometimes it can be a lot.
Yeah.
But it is like a second chance. And if the second chance doesn't hit the spot, I'm like, as much as I like you, we are friends now. What about you?
No, what I can say is I will share just a story. I'm on a partnership right now. It's very new. I'm really excited and calm and happy about it. But I'm a very sexual person. I love sex. I enjoy it. To me, it's a way in which I connect to people, and that is good and bad. Be careful with that. You can get burned with that approach. But something that I should say with my partner, and something that I can share, is that I always, sex was like sex first. Let's go, let's do it. This is my filter. I need to know that we're a match here.
Yeah.
And that approach hasn't, to look and have a serious relationship hasn't worked that well for me.
Mm-hmm.
My experience. Maybe it's different for you or for other people. But so what I decided when I met my partner right now was to do something that I've never done before, which was not put sex first. Like change that priority and put it last. Obviously, I had an honest conversation with him, and we waited.
Wasn't he the one that proposed it?
It was both of us. It was
Okay.
both of us.
Okay.
Yeah. So
How many dates were it before you had sex?
14 dates.
14.
Yeah.
Sorry, how much time though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
The cadence of dates matters.
So he has 14 tattoos. So it was
A romantic.
I think it's super romantic.
I
It
love
was
this.
each story, each date was going to be the story of a tattoo, and a tattoo is a very personal thing. And then eventually, 2 months, yeah,
Okay.
and it was incredible. The connection, putting sex last, the touch and other elements around the connection came first, and that was something I had not experienced before, really. And now that shapes a lot of our connection, and I love it. I love that flip in concept. So that,
But let's just be very clear. You did see each other naked during that moment.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about intercourse.
Intercourse.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. We slept together, and we still connected in ways that weren't as normative intercourse.
Okay. Okay. Because I was like, if I don't see your dick in the list, I'm sorry. Yeah, you can do this 2 months. It's a lot of dating. I'm sorry. It's a lot of investment and time. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's, if you know, you cannot know.
Sorry.
I know I was gonna say that. I just got reminded how you opened up your dictionary to me and Arthur.
No, it's open dictionary to everyone.
Dictionary.
Having brunch.
Oh, God.
And me
Serving
and
breakfast.
me and the third friend were listening to her like, so what does this mean? And she would just but what do we actually mean with vanilla? No. Yes, I have learned so much.
But how important is sex to you?
For me, it really depends, because I think that there's again a lot of things that affect for the first time, but initial connection, I think the best connections I've had, also the sex has been amazing from the beginning. And that's why I think it's also 50-50. Really, depends.
If we had to say one thing that's missing from dating, in one word, what is missing from dating?
No surprise here. Transparency.
Ale, what's your word?
I'm sorry, I cannot be concise. I'm going to choose 3. Basic human decency.
Okay.
Nice.
Oona?
I would say there's a lot of communication missing, and we don't talk about things before. So maybe the kink apps have changed your experience of that.
Oh, yeah.
But I think there's a lot of miscommunication.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's honesty and transparency, like honesty in all ways, and just being you, like I think it's more about being genuine, like stop playing games and putting whatever it is. I think that there's one thing of it's flirting and just being like you are, but another one is like playing this game that leads to nowhere. This is a facade. Take it out. Take all these masks. Like who are you exactly, you know? Yeah. Shall we?
Let's do it.
Ooh, a game.
So one thing is like a little bit to luck and a little bit to not. One number from 1 to 6.
Of course. 6.
Pick. Like
There's
you think this
there's
is
no 9. Sorry.
right now? It goes until 8. There aren't enough numbers.
6 again.
6 again. Okay, so Kevin. A guilty pleasure in dates.
Okay, this is part of both my like dating practice and kink practice. I love building up to the sex,
Oh, me too.
but I don't like do nothing before it. There's like tons of foreplay,
Yes.
both in the dates, in the conversation, in the photos, and like scenarios that we're going to get to in the future. I want every date to be looked forward to, like the release of a movie, and I also want the sex to be like that.
It makes it just makes it more interesting.
Yeah, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah. Give me a character. Build it up. What's the backstory?
On the next episode, and then just highlights.
What's their trauma?
Will they make it out?
Sure. Okay, let's do it. So give me a number.
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. And peek. 1.
So it's time. Let's see if we can understand my letter. My handwriting.
I can. Overrated relationship advice.
Overrated relationship advice. I thought about it yesterday actually, and I think there's a lot of like rules, especially like this not to have sex or to have sex. And I think it depends a lot on the situation. So there's too many rules that might like break the actual connection because of there could be something. And it's very personal, like how we should adapt the situation. I don't know.
I agree.
Oh, that is so true.
I
That
agree.
is so true. That, fuck the norms.
Yeah, exactly. Make your own.
Make your own.
You're fucking Harvard.
Fucking Harvard. Yeah. Shall we?
Yes.
What are our plans for Valentine's Day?
For the first time, I have a Valentine's date.
Kevin?
Literally for the first time. I don't know why. I've always either been like single or the person's been away or I've been away on Valentine's Day. So I actually have like a Valentine's date.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
Do you have a Valentine's date?
I will probably plan a Galentine's date with my friends.
Nice.
And then a Valentine's Day with my boyfriend. Because our relationship is about choosing ourselves and creating our space together. And that's something that I will do. And I'm excited about this balance of these two worlds coexisting.
That's beautiful.
I love it.
I love it.
Love.
I had completely forgotten about it. Maybe no one reminded me of it.
That's not true. You were invited to a kinky
I was
party.
gonna tell. This happened last week. I was invited to a kinky party, but I've never been, so
You're invited.
Yeah, I'm invited to a kinky party.
I am going to a kinky party. I'm full on going to a kinky party on Valentine's Day. Yes. Here in Barcelona. It's called Pandemonium and it's from a very good friend. You can all go. It's a very safe space. No one is going to touch you. No one is going to do anything without asking for consent. And you can go if you want to have a good time. But keep in mind, it is a kinky party. People are going to be half naked, if not naked. So there is that's extra elements, detail to it.
What are your plans for Valentine's Day?
That's it.
The party?
I'm gonna go to the party. Yes,
Nice.
it is. It is. I'm going with some friends that are also going. We're going as a group. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So let's we're out of time, and I would like everybody to just tell us how we can find you on Instagram. And
If you want people to find you or not.
Yes, I'm at Kevin Hawkins Design pretty much everywhere, including some of those fun apps I mentioned.
Yes,
amazing, and he's single, ready to mingle.
My Instagram is at Oona and I said in a really Finnish way my name, so OONA and Elena.
we're gonna put it in the description. But yes, yes. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
Amazing.
I love this.
Amazing.
Absolutely love having you.
Nice to be here.
Love you.
Thank you, family. Create what matters one more time. Conversations that matter. I will see you the next time, and keep creating things that matter. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.